then many of them, means the revolutionaries, what was their idea towards the religion? So the generalistic understanding here, it can be understood in the manner that these particular revolutionaries, they were not casteist. They were not the people who told that who promoted just one religion. They respected all the religions and told the people that you should be respecting the other religions also, because the essence of the religions are the same. So they had a secular approach, a violent method with a secular approach. So many Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, and the people belonging to various religions, they participated together as revolutionaries. That is going to be there. Moreover, these particular people, they told, the revolutionaries told that the religion, it should be somewhat of a personal thing. It should not be brought up in the state phenomena. It should be professed by the people. People should have the freedom of religion, but it should be more of a personal thing. They also believe that religion could act as a factor for the unifying. Religion could act as a factor for strengthening the inner strength and could give confidence to the people to carry out activities. But it should yet be limited to the personal space. And Bhagat Singh was of the clear ideology that religion, okay, should be practiced by the people at their personal level and it should not be imposed on others. So these people, they believed in an egalitarian. The revolutionaries, they believed in a egalitarian and a secular outlook of religion. So the early 20th century, the revolutionary extremists, okay, the revolutionary extremists, they took to religion and mysticism for the inspiration and ideology, but they were not imbued with the communalistic approach of thinking. Now, just do not get misconfused with this word. Okay, there is one thing known as communism, and then there is going to be another thing that is known as communalism. So communism, it is a political philosophy that is going to be associated with how a particular country is to be ruled. So the communist countries, they were generally the Russia, the USSR, I mean to say, and the China. Whereas when we talk about communalism, it is associated with religion. So communism and communalism, both are different. So for the revolutionaries, religion was a source of innate strength and not for the basis of politics. Religion also inspired them to become fighters for the national liberation of Indian people and not organizers of communal politics spouting hate against the other sections of Indian people. So they did not believe in the concept of divide and rule. In essence, the religious and the mystical beliefs of revolutionaries led them to fight against imperialism. That is going to be another aspect. Then, the mediums of propagation. What is going to be their mediums of propagation? We have already understood what is their propagation. So, they are going to be utilizing the violent methods wherein they will be doing assassinations and everything. Moreover, these particular revolutionaries, what they did is that they also started writing journals so that when the people read their journals, the people would be influenced in joining the revolutionaries. And apart from that, many of the revolutionaries who had a bit of money, they created organizations wherein they would be inducting the revolutionaries and they would be promoting or carrying out the various activities. So that is one another aspect that we can understand. So their mediums of propagation was the secret societies through which they are going to be carrying out the passing of messages, through which they are going to be passing the messages. Then it is going to be the newspapers and journals through which they will be spreading information and they would be spreading the propaganda. Then besides, they also played a significant role in arousing anti-imperialistic sentiments. So this is going to be there. Then the principal aspects of ideology of extremist revolutionaries in 1920. Okay, so just read this up, my dear friends. Just read this up, please. I have already explained it up in detail. Okay, so this can also be a question that can be asked to you, that revolutionary extremism was much more than committing violence. They also thought on creation of a egalitarian state system. Discuss with suitable examples. So the content that I have mentioned here, it is going to be on this particular question. So such questions can be asked to you in the examination also, wherein the UPSC would like you to, you know, add certain things here. Okay, so you can just mention this particular question and you can write it as a form of a answer, a question answer that will help you get a much more broader understanding of this particular topic. All right, now when we move to the next aspect, the result of growing socialistic consciousness was the comprehension of the close links with capitalism. All right. Okay, so you can just read this up as well. Just do it fast, please. I've already explained it up. So the question that I just mentioned, it is going to be inclusive of this content as well. The question that I mentioned. All right, now let's move ahead. Now, there is this one person who is going to categorize the movements in India into four major trends, and that is known as Sumit Sarkar. So, Sumit Sarkar, he discussed on the moderate trend, and we are very much aware about what was the aspect of moderates. Okay, what did the moderates actually want? Okay, then there is going to be the constructive Swadeshi. Constructive Swadeshi. Now, what does this movement mean? Now we know that there was one section known as moderates, and then there was one section known as extremist. The the moderate section, this is going to be here, the moderate trend. Whereas when we talk about constructive Swadeshi, so what does constructive Swadeshi mean? So constructive Swadeshi, it was basically wherein the people in the Swadeshi and boycott movement, what did they do? They are going to focus upon boycotting the British industries and the British aspect and promoting the Swadeshi, that is the indigenous industry. So that is what was there. So here the word constructive itself, what does it means? To grow, to help grow the Indian aspect. So to help grow the Indian industries or the Indian aspect in the Swadeshi level. So that was what was known as constructive Swadeshi. So one aspect in the political movement was writing petitions, prayers, and propaganda that was done by moderates. Another section of political activism was that boycotting and promoting the Swadeshi level of growth, that was known as constructive Swadeshi. Then the third aspect was that political extremism. The people who believed that not only Swadeshi and boycott could help, but also they need to do the strike, protest, and the other aspects wherein which would help them attain their demands. So there was that level of political extremism. But even when that political extremism failed in the Swadeshi aspect, after that there is going to be the revolutionary extremism from the 1909, that is generally going to start 1908, 1909. So this we have already understood. Now, when we talk about revolutionary extremism, so far as Bengal was concerned, by the time period of 1908, political Swadeshi was certainly on the decline. Now, what does political Swadeshi mean? Political Swadeshi means this, that when the some political people, they are going to say that we need to boycott, but simultaneously we also need to do the Swadeshi. So by the time period of 1908, the aspect of boycott and Swadeshi, it was on a decline. And when it was on a decline, so the area was taken over by another trend, and that particular trend is individual terrorism or individual extremism that they're going to do. That is going to be the violent activities against the British officials and the Indian collaborators. So this signified, as Sarkar points out in 1973, that Sumit Sarkar, okay, he points out a shift from non-violence to violence and also from mass action to elite action necessitated primarily by failure of the mass efforts. All right. So here extremism, it is not going to be that the masses they are going to adopt to violence and everyone is going to just start picking up guns and all. No, here minority level people, the some of the section of the people, they adopted to violence. So the culture of violence as a mode of political protest was always alive in India even after the suppression of the revolt of 1857. Now here what do we see is that I had mentioned that in 1908 the the open aspect of the revolutionary activities had increased a lot. But this point, what does it state is that the aspect of revolutionary extremism, it was not new in the Indian subcontinent, but it was also prevalent just after the revolt of 1857 also. And when we talk about these particular major